It can definitely be used responsibly. It can definitely be used irresponsibly. Weed is a tool that can be used responsibly to help inspire creativity, come up with new ideas. But if you smoke it every goddamn day, you're going to waste your life away. If you take Adderall every single day, you're going to waste your life away, and it's going to fuck with your brain. You know what I mean? But it's to throw it out the window is a missed opportunity, because these things can be used for success. You know, even like sex. If you do it if you can become a sex addict, that'll be horrible for you.
Yes.
But don't throw that out the window, dude. Come on. You know what I mean? Use it. It's like just, there's so many things that is such a great tool that could be abused.
Hello, everyone. I'm Abhinav Jain, and this is the Real Abhinav audio experience. Welcome to the Real Abhinav audio experience. This is your host, Abhinav Jain, and I aspire to make this podcast go beyond the surface. In this podcast, I intend to bring you insights from the topmost performers, no matter what industry they're in. We talk about how they've done things differently to grow their minds and keep their physical and mental health in shape. My mission with this podcast is to help overwhelmed individuals learn ways to reduce their depression, anxiety, and live with peace and love. I just want to take a moment to thank our sponsors, Blossom Media Studio. Thank you so much for creating and distributing my podcast and taking away literally every single thing that's involved with podcasting, so I can just spend the time to talk to my guests and create great episodes. Peter, thank you so much for being here. And for those of you that don't know, Peter and I go way back to high school days. We actually went to high school together in California. And from that point on, we went on our own paths, and then we linked up a couple of years ago when I was going through a really rough patch in my life, and Peter seems to have been, doing pretty good for himself, but not to say that he hasn't had rough times in his life. He's evolved, and I mean, at that time when we were talking last, you were telling me about how you had driven every business into the pavement, had lost everything you had, you were in debt, you were losing your property, and your scooter was stolen, and good God, I mean, everything that could go wrong went wrong, but somehow you always kept a smile on your face and you kept moving forward, man. And that's what it's really about at the end of the day, So maybe if you don't mind catching us up a little bit from 3 or 4 years ago when we started talking, you were, I think, starting to build a business. And I think
the McLaren triggered it. Yeah.
You had a McLaren, you sold it, you bought it back. There was a whole thing with that. And then crypto, I think, there's so much to fucking talk to you about. I don't even know how we're going to do this.
Yeah. The last time we talked, for sure, I think I had gotten a McLaren, and then it was like, how the fuck did you go from, sleeping on your friend's floor, just totally broke, to having a McLaren? Because I started my first business 10 years ago, and the first 5 years were just total hell and misery.
Yeah.
And then, met the mentors who taught me how to do everything correctly. And then, and then things really blew up from there. And, just from a huge perspective, had maybe a 2.5 year or 3 year crazy, super successful run. And then I left them to start my own business. And then it was a kind of a year of struggle of really trying to make it work, where it was just an endless grind and trying to make things happen, build a superstar team of A players. And then ended up partnering with a guy and building a skincare brand. And that just blew up just to unfathomable levels instantly. And then I was able to sell it. So I was just handed a bunch of cash and a bunch of time.
Dude.
It's retarded.
Who doesn't want that, right?
Yeah, awesome. Just here's all your time back and here's a ton of cash.
Yeah. Do you think that was almost like a moment of shit, man, what do I do now? I've already gotten,
Oh, for sure.
And then it almost messes with you, because it's if you're working towards something, you're climbing, you're every day you wake up, okay, I got to grind, I got to do this. And then now you're I don't have to do shit today. I can just go back to sleep. Right.
No, there's a big, it takes time to turn the chapter over, and land on the next one and figure out what the next one's going to be about. Because you're right. It has the last, years have all just been grinding on this one specific skill set I've been building. And then it's done. Pause. What's next? Well, I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about what's next. So I actually just got back from a trip to Costa Rica. I had decided it would be a good idea to take some ayahuasca for
I remember when you went to Costa Rica in high school and you brought a didgeridoo. Do you remember that?
Yep. Got a didgeridoo. Love the didges. Yeah. But ayahuasca seems to be a really good way to either discover what the next chapter is going to be about. At least for me, it was very effective.
Yeah. Tell us
but there was
more
like
about
a
that.
month and a half of like being lost because people would ask me like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I don't really do anything, or like, I'm not doing anything, so it was just total new chapter of like discovering what was what was next, because I know I'm just getting started. It's not like I'm at the end of anything, right? It's a whole life shit is getting started. Things are just starting to happen now with this new chapter, with this new ability. So, but I don't really know what it was going to be about. So I went to take ayahuasca in Costa Rica, and it was the most like transformative thing for sure for me at that moment in time. Definitely discovered, what it's going to be about, what the next things are going to be about. Had a lot of breakthroughs in terms of like finding the purpose and discovering old talents that I love. Mostly around writing. Writing was a big kind of opening eye for me because I had like given up on writing a year and a half ago and just like hired a writer to write for me because I'd be writing advertisements. The past 5 years, I'd be writing ads to sell e-commerce products like pillows and bed sheets and brain supplements and skincare products and all these different types of products. I just learned to write ads, copywriting. I learned how to write words that sell. And then I just kind of gave up on that. And then I hired someone to do it for me. But I journal all the time and I love writing. And then when I went and took ayahuasca, the craziest fucking thing happened to me on the first day. And I was like, I gotta go write this whole story down. So I like grinded 4 and 5 hours and wrote this story. And then the next day, the craziest thing happened. I was like, I gotta write this story down because there's going to be a day 3. So I wrote that down. And then and that was super weird. But when I posted it, it was the craziest thing ever because I didn't really want to post what happened on day 2 because it was so wild and out there and not out of the norm. But one day I was like, fuck it. There's not enough content like this on the planet. So I need to like contribute some crazy ass content, So once I posted that, then I just unlocked all this like freedom of not caring what my parents thought or not caring what people thought anymore. And it was like, if I get crucified for this, so be it. Catch me if you can, though, because I'm bouncing all the fuck around the world. So try and catch me. You know what I mean? So it's like, why am I so worried about what people think and all that stuff? Like, and then it turned out everybody loved it. So I got done with writing this, that, and then it was just like thing like, dude, I'm a writer. I love writing. And so it just woke this old dead passion in me that was kind of, that was kind of dying. So right now, the next couple months are about like writing a book that I'm putting on, which is like the first, 10 years of entrepreneurship. But it was totally an amazing, it just took off all of the leashes of caring about what my parents thought and what anybody thought and just being exactly who I am 100% at all costs, right? Not because people don't want to be who they are because they're afraid of the consequences. They're afraid of what people are going to say or that. And it's just being who you are, no matter the consequences, at all costs. 100%.
Well, do you think now, because you have so much money potentially, like, do you feel like it's better for you to be that way now? Because you're like, fuck it, nothing's really going to affect me, even if there were,
It is the fuck you money makes a big deal for sure. Yeah. That's why they call it the fuck you money, 100%. It's because you can just be who you are at all expenses, right? Because it's all good at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like I don't have a boss who would yell at me. I don't have a girlfriend who would do anything, right? I have a mom who would send me Bible verses. That's about it.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that because like, we could go through the whole process of like, you've made it in business, you've made it by all accords of public eyes, and you still have to like deal with your parents. And I mean, you still love them, you care what they think, but to get to a place where, I'm sure your mom loves what you're doing at one level and she also cares about your well-being, sure. But she's just trying to protect her son from anything that maybe you won't know what you're getting into. And I don't know. I mean, that's just how parents are, right? So yeah, mom. And like, I totally get that. Like, when I put podcasts out and stuff, my number one fan is my mom. She listens to all of them. Right. And she'll be like, why did you say it like that? Or you should probably not use these words.
Right.
The other thing, right? Like,
yeah. Right.
It's funny because you care
about your mom, but I'm doing me.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, your parents are probably like just blown away by what you've been able to pull off, and they just want the best for you. And I think at the end of the day, would you say though, like, I feel for a lot of the young adults that listen to my content and stuff, like some of them have a good relationship with their parents, but most of them don't. Right. And how critical would you say that has been for you as someone who's kind of been carving his own path out, not like going to a traditional like work life. I don't even know if you went to college. I don't remember. And like just going into, whatever it is you wanted to do, and then having that like kind of sense of like disappointment potentially towards your parents, but then also like, overcoming all of that. Like how has that played out for you? And what would you like tell to someone who maybe doesn't have a great relationship with their parents? Like, is that important in your view, to like amend?
Listen, I mean, like, your parents' advice can't get you farther than how far they got on their own. Right? So you can't get farther than how far your parents got using their advice. You can't get farther than anybody using their advice, but how far they got. Like no one, like you have to
That's a really good point.
Learn from the people who are where you want to be. You know what I mean? You can't take advice from someone who's not where you want to be. So it's almost like, I love you, mom, I love you, dad, but I'm looking for, 20x results here. You know what I mean? I'm looking to take, everyone's talking about making $100,000 a year. I want to make $1 million a year.
Yeah.
Right. That type of stuff. So I need to really throw out the door what most people think is a good idea, or what I've been learning is a good idea. And if I want 1% results, I really got to find, 1% of the ideas that nobody else wants to take.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
I got to make decisions that nobody else wants to take.
I've got a quick favor to ask of you. If you've been enjoying this podcast, I'd really appreciate if you could take 1 minute of your time and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It goes a long way, and I'd really, really, really appreciate it. If you've already done that, thank you again. Please share this episode with someone you know, a friend or family member. Download the episode or share the link, whatever works for you. Now let's get back to it. Well,
so love them to death, but you can't let them hold you back.
Yes. No, that's a really good way to say it, right? Like your parents, and our parents, all of us, they lived in a different time and they got to where they are. They raised us. They gave us all the support that they could. And now to go to the next level, like I think even in our previous conversation, you were finding mentors that were giving you kind of insights into the next chapter of your life, which at that time, I think it was more around marketing and selling products and stuff. On a side note, you got to help me sell some of these backdrops, dude. You got to hook me up whenever you settle down. I need some of your help. It's a good product, I think, for people making content online. I call it podcast backdrops, but it's basically a fabric banner.
Okay.
I just have to find a way to like create an ad around it. It has good margins. I feel like we can sell it to gamers and everything like that. That was just a tangent I had to throw in there. What's been interesting for me, I've been getting overwhelming amount of messages from young adults that tell me that, they hate school, they feel stuck, they don't know what to do with their life, they feel lost, they want to make money, but they don't have a passion and they don't have any clue on what they want to do. A lot of them smoke too much weed, and they don't know how to really quit on that or slow it down. They get high, but they don't enjoy it. They get anxious and they spend all their money on weed and they're broke. Like, I don't know if any of this has ever been a part of your life, but like,
I'm pro weed.
Me too. But I think if it starts to get you to a point where you're more anxious than it should make you feel better, not, be the thing
100%.
that it should make you feel even better, as I was told in a discussion I had, rather than the thing that makes you better, right? Like you should already be good and then it makes you feel the next level versus like, right. I feel like shit and I have to smoke weed to feel better. But then that's just a perpetual loop of not going anywhere with it, right?
So what do you think the question these kids have?
I think it's just like not finding their passion, right? Like what do we do?
Right.
What do we do to find our passions? Like what has worked for you? I mean, I know. Yeah. Maybe let's start there.
Right. So definitely doing what you love is not the best way to go about it, because I love skateboarding. And what I really did was just create a life where I was sleeping on my friends' floors and working at a skate shop and driving a car that didn't work. And it was really a shitty life that I created, And then, so I moved to the mountains to take a break from doing what I love and try to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And during that process, what I discovered was that what I really love to do is live a life that I love. What I really love to do is create a life that I love. You know what I mean? I love us having sick days, sick, amazing, fantastic, incredible days where I wake up and I'm doing everything I've always wanted to do. And that's what I really love. Yeah. So to me, what I discovered was like creating the life that I love. So sitting down with a piece of paper and like designing what would be the sickest day ever I could be living, wake up, read for, 30 minutes, jump in the Lambo, hit the gym, go rip across the town, do somewhere over there, say bye to the beautiful Swedish girl in the bed, just like completely just creating this life, and then the vehicle that takes me there, I discovered was something that I really loved too. When I got into internet marketing, it was because I could create this life of making money from a laptop. And that it was all centered around how do I create a life that I love, doing what I love to do. Because even though I love skateboarding, I created this life where it was really shitty and really lacking and scarce and not fun. And it was very not cool. So when I looked at it, because we're all creating a life every single day, you get up and you wake up and you do something with your day. You know what I mean? So what would be the sickest, most epic day ever? You know, what type, to me, if I'm making 50 grand every 2 weeks, that really helps me make whatever fucking life I want to make. You know what I mean? Like, it's a pretty sick goal. You do that for 12 months in a row. That's $1 million a year. You just have to figure out how to get to 50 grand every 2 weeks. And then once you do that, you can figure out how to do it a lot. Then you can live a pretty fucking sick life. You know, when I discovered that goal, it was kind of like, that's something I don't want to miss out on experiencing. You know, I really want to experience that at least one time, at least try it out. I can always go back to being broke if I want to, but you know, it'd be a cool thing to give it a shot if I could. And then,
were you ever at a point in your life, maybe earlier, where maybe something like weed or mushrooms or anything else, like any of these other psychedelics, or that became almost like a dependency for you? And did you ever have to like get yourself to climb out of that? Is there anything that you could share around that?
So first off, I love smoking weed, but I don't do indica. I don't do indica, which bullshit, you know, make you lazy, dumb, stupid. I do sativa, make you smart and creative. And I do it, I smoke and I journal. So I pull out my journal and I just write down what's going on. What do I love doing? What's going on with my life? I just reflect on what I've been doing, talk about where I'm going in the future, work on my goals. And that helps me be really creative, because you get a lot of really good ideas when you're high, but they're kind of like slippery fish. You got them and then you fucking forgot them. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I like writing them down. I have to write them down. So I use a little iPad so I can type super ultra fast.
Yes.
I just sit down on my Evernote. I put in what day it is today in the year, and I just go, and I just dump everything out onto that.
But
So
you're not like getting high in the middle of the day while you're working.
Absolutely
stuff,
not.
right?
No.
So maybe talk about like the habit that you've developed around it, like consumption.
Right. So never in the morning, never in the evening. It's just maybe after 6 o'clock when I get home and I want to chill and I want to do something that really, you know, is really fun, because I'm not a TV guy. TV is not super cool to me, even though I do get stuck in YouTube binges all the time too, which is basically TV these days.
Yeah.
But
so you don't watch Netflix or nothing?
I watch The Secret over and over again.
Wow. Okay.
If I watch TV, I watch The Secret, but I don't do Netflix. No, I don't like series at all, because it just sucks me into an 8-hour fucking thing I got to use my life on. It's throwing in my life. But,
so never in the
you got to
mornings.
use it responsibly. Yeah.
Got it. That's the key, I think, at the end of the day. And also, like, I think if you do it too often, right? Like, I think you would agree. If you were high all the time, you don't know what you're like when you're sober, and you don't really get that opportunity to act on where you are. Like, I feel like when you smoke weed, it's almost like putting VR glasses and you can see all this projection of what you could be, these vivid, you know, thoughts, and you can feel them. But when you come down from that, you realize like, okay, I'm still at this like level here. So how do I get up from here? Then you got to do the work. And I think a lot of young adults that I've been communicating with are getting lost in this loop of just kind of getting high, you know, like getting lost in that 8-hour loop of watching this video of their potential, but then not doing anything with it, right? So maybe what would you recommend for those who have big goals or want to achieve big things like you have? Obviously, it's not like one thing you do and it just leads you to a big reward. It's a lot of little things over time, right?
Yeah.
You know, maybe talk to me about how you've developed that sort of long-term trajectory, your mindset around patience, perhaps. You know, how's that been? And not comparing yourself to like all the other gurus or other people. I'm sure there are people that you look up to, or maybe even, I'm gonna use the word, maybe use the word kind of like envy. Like for me, I'll say this, like I had to realize that I became really self-aware that I was conditioned to compare myself too much. You know, that probably came from the bodybuilding mindset. And I stopped looking at everybody's content. Like I unfollowed everyone. And I was like, I'm not going to look at anybody's shit. So if I'm on my phone, it's only because I'm posting something and then I'm off of it. And I'm not going to just scroll endlessly, because that builds this unconscious insecurity in me, or it grows that in me. So I'm curious, like how have you kind of navigated this?
Yeah, well, on the deepest level, it's all about beating who you are. Like, so I'm about beating my high scores, right? So that's what I care about, is doing the best I've ever done. I always want to, every project has to be the coolest thing I've ever worked on. That's what makes it exciting for me. And when it comes to like comparing yourself, part of like, you know, the Millionaire Mindset, or the Secrets of the Millionaire Mind book, is like, you know, successful people, you know, praise other successful people, and unsuccessful people like resent them. So I like looking at other people's stuff as like, that's super cool. I appreciate it. I value that. But and some people, have gotten there before I have and are younger than me. But that doesn't have anything to do with me because I like feel like I'm on track and I'm doing my thing and I'm on my path and I'm listening to the higher power that's giving me guidance and stuff like that. So, comparison is not something that's good, but I am inspired by a lot of what other people do. So I like checking out what other people are doing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's a good idea of a dream life. But at the same time, it's like, I am super unique and everyone, if you're watching this, you're super unique. And, you have your own special, super rock star fucking path that's set out for you.
Yeah.
And it's about going down that. And when you're going down that, just things will line up. Bad things and good things will line up. But like, you'll have like, I don't know, when you're on your fucking, like on your path and following what you're supposed to be doing. But I mean, I'm not really affected too much by the whole comparison thing, but I've been affected by it in the past. And it's definitely something where it's like, this is my path. It is where it is. This is where I am right now. And these are the cards I have and I have to play my cards. All I can do is play the cards in my fucking hand. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
so you became really kind of like humbled with, this is my situation. Regardless of like how good or bad it is. Right?
Of anything else. Yeah. And I learned this lesson actually when I had joined the army. My parents made me join the army so I could afford
I remember
to go to
those
college.
days, dude.
Yeah. And the only fucking goddamn thing I learned in the army was that I remember it doesn't matter how pissed off or frustrated or depressed or sad or trapped or lonely or anything. It doesn't matter how I feel at all. I'm still lying in this fucking mud pit at 3 a.m. with a rifle staring off in the fucking black space, cold as balls with fucking 2 feet up to my fucking neck, just waiting and waiting and waiting. And it doesn't matter how bad I feel. I'm in this fucking goddamn situation regardless of how I feel. I can't get out of it. And the only thing that makes it better, the only thing that makes this fucking hellhole better is having a fucking positive state of mind, is having a positive, empowering state of mind where I feel good and I have positive, empowering emotions. And that's actually what gets me out of it faster and makes everything work better. The whole depressing, debilitating stuff just would not work and would not change anything for me. I was still stuck with these cards in my hand.
Yeah.
So it's just, these are the things I got. What do I do with this? You know what I mean? How do I play the cards in my hand?
Do you still, at this stage in your life, feel anxious or get depressed at all? Even to a degree, like a small degree?
I mean, I think that everyone gets depressed. I definitely get depressed, but I feel like what's different for me is how long I stay there. And I feel like the difference with everybody is how long they stay there.
Yeah.
Because I'm able to bounce back into positive emotions and hold those for a long period of time. I have this tattoo on my arm that says something amazing, which stands for something amazing is about to happen. I don't think you can see it.
I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think I remember you either like writing that somewhere. I read that from you and that really inspired me for a while. Cause I would wake up. So I can share for me, like, I feel like I'm in a very good place in my life now, way better than I was 3-4 years ago. And I always wake up still in the morning at times where my mind is already like, I don't know, go racing 100 miles an hour and it's trying to solve problems and it's trying to like look for solutions to things. And it's also like very critical. And then I'll wake up and I'll be like, fuck, man, I gotta like, what am I going to do with myself today? Like I can't break this much ground in a day or a week or whatever. And then I always come back to like, I don't know the future and today could be a great day. Like why do I have to already start with this assumption that like I'm so far back in the race or whatever, So I think that's a very interesting motto to have, like something amazing is going to happen today. Like good things are always out there. It's just you have to seek for them. And I think if you orient yourself to look for them, they will come to you. And if you orient yourself to look for the problems, they will come to you too. Like, right? Like I think that's really what it comes down to. So I wrote down this question. I was very curious because now you're at a point in your life where I don't think you're really chasing money anymore, and you're definitely a very creative guy. But would you say what would you say is more important of a driver? Is it being creative or is it chasing the money? Like, is money more important than creativity?
Yeah. Let's talk about that. That's a really good one because everybody knows, like, I totally huge fan of money, like money's biggest fan for sure. Hands down, way better life when I got a ton of it than when I got none of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hands fucking down, like hands down, no arguing on that one. Right. So, but to me, it's never been about chasing the money, right? Because what I love the most is growth and getting better and better and better and climbing like my own version of Mount Everest. Now, before I got into business, I was really addicted to Guitar Hero, and I would bust my ass and get all these fucking points of Guitar Hero. But I just got so frustrated that I would work so hard to get all these points, and I couldn't do anything with these goddamn fucking points. It was like this stupid fucking skill set I learned that would do nothing for me. So when I got into media buying and affiliate marketing, it was kind of like a video game too, because I'm still hitting buttons on a laptop. It's literally the same fucking thing as a video game. There's numbers on a screen. There's points in the bank account. It's the same fucking thing. I hit that, the number either goes up or it goes down. But the difference is I can do something with these fucking points. So I really got into climbing the mountain of doubling my high score, which is like, what's the most amount of money I've ever made in a day? How do I double that? It's not about more money. It's like, I want to be the best I've ever been at my video game. You know what I mean? I want to get 5 stars on that goddamn song. I want to hit that fucking milestone of having a campaign that makes $10,000 a day, or does better than that, or it has a month that does this. That's twice as high as I've ever been in my life. And if I do that, there happens to be a pile of treasure at the top. You know what I mean? But that's not the whole, there's so many fucking benefits of doing that, but that's not the point. The point is that I like doing the best I've ever done, working on the most exciting thing I've ever done, and going for something that makes me push and stretch. I've discovered that anything too high than double, going over double, like the most amount of money you've ever made a month, is too high, and going less than double is too low. And for me, that North Star of like, how do I double the most amount of money I've ever made in a day, is just the perfect fucking goddamn goal for media buying, affiliate marketing, advertising. Because if you spend $1,000 a day on ads and you get 2,000 back, tomorrow, you just go into your account and just go duplicate campaign, spend $2,000 tomorrow. And if the ROI holds, you'll do $4,000 the next day. And you just made twice as much money as you did if you ever done before. So it's totally doable, totally possible. And it's the perfect North Star. And now it's just always the funnest ladder for me to climb. I got so many friends that I passed and never actually went super far in media buying. And I know for a fact it was because they didn't like what I'm saying right now for doubling the high score. What they loved was they wanted safety and security, and they wanted to make $100 a day every day for 3 months in a row. And they were so focused on just safety and security. And they were like, no, fuck the roller coaster, because it is a fucking roller coaster, and it's down, and you got to abandon ship all the time because you discover the path you're on is never going to get you twice as much money as you ever made in a month. So you got to abandon. So
basically,
ships.
The failures are like immediately versus like a long tail, like
100%.
Right. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but the guys, listen, if you don't fucking focus on it, you're never going to accidentally land on making twice as much money as you ever made in a month. You don't just step out of your house and slip on a banana and land on twice as much money you ever made in a month. You know what I mean? It's like you get there on purpose, right? Because you've been focusing and grinding it towards it. And if you never set the goal, you're never going to get there. So doubling that little light is perfect, right? It's a great thing. And I discovered this from, wanting to make $10,000 a month 7 years ago and never doing it for years and years and years. And I was too good for things that would make me $3,000 a month, because my goal is $10,000 a month. But I wasn't even making $1,000 a month, right? I wasn't making anything. So it was this like slap in the face, like, bro, any progress is progress. Like if you've never made $1 online, then if losing $10 in a day is still a high score, right? Try to lose $5 in a day, then try to break even, then try to make $5 in a day. That's your high score. It is what it is. Just climb that little ladder. Because there's amazing, super inspiring, that'll light you up goals, like making 50 grand every 2 weeks. But there's milestones, which is what you need to focus on today. You need to visualize the inspiring shit that gets you excited. And then you need to focus on what is it? If you made
the macro and the micro execution, right?
The macro and the micro execution. You focus on the 50 grand, double your high score. But at bed, you're visualizing the big, exciting shit, right? Because if you're just trying to get a 15% raise at work, 30% raise at work, it's not going to change shit with your life. You know what I mean? Your car's going to be a little bit better. That's going to be a little bit bigger, and you're going to have a little bit nicer restaurants, and you're still going to be broke at the end of the fucking week, like you just were before, because you spent everything else that you just got more. So big swings, big swings are the way to go.
So to complete that topic though, creativity,
yeah.
Anything you want to mention about that? Like, so you mentioned obviously for the money goals, trying to propel yourself to, okay, I want to make double than I am in a day.
Well, that's where the creativity comes from.
It's creatively setting the goals is what you're saying.
It's creatively climbing the Mount Everest. You know what I mean? double I score is the Mount Everest that I'm all about. I love the idea of having a big Mount Everest that you need to climb in your life, that you want to climb. I don't actually want to fucking climb real Mount Everest. That's not me. I'm not one of those dudes, right?
Yeah. And how do you deal with because, one of the things that's been challenging for me, and I think for others, is we set big goals, and more times than not, you don't always get to your goals, but then managing that sort of, that defeated moment, or like feeling like, shit, man, I don't know if it'll work. Like, how do you deal with that? I mean, maybe it's different at this point, but maybe look back to your past when you weren't, killing it. But like, how did you manage, like, fuck, man, I have these big goals, I work hard, but it's not going anywhere. And then like getting into that negative loop.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you think about like, one, what's the most exciting thing I could be working on is climbing this little Mount Everest. It's always the most exciting thing. There's nothing else that's more exciting. There's nothing else I'd rather be doing than climbing something so fucking cool, so exciting, just being on the kind of the path. There's definitely been horrible, long, dark moments, that lasted a long time, where I'd be curling up in a ball and crying on my floor, hoping that I would just teleport out when I open my eyes, but that
what were you doing?
happen.
If I can hold on to that for a moment, when you were in those really dark places, what were you trying to do to just keep yourself balanced a little bit? Like, what worked for you?
I would listen to Les Brown a lot. Les Brown was my guy when things were struggling. It's not over till I win. Mm-hmm. I would listen to motivational fucking YouTube videos like crazy, dude. That was food for my soul.
Got it.
When I was struggling in the movie, the McDonald's movie.
Yeah.
Bro, I cried in that scene when he walked into his fucking shitty hotel room after failing, and he turned on Earl Nightingale on the fucking radio, and he sat down in his shitty little room listening to the fucking goddamn things. I had done that so many times that just pulled my fucking heartstring like nothing else. You know what I mean? Because I just flashed back to every single moment of me just sucking dick and being terrible and putting on a goddamn Tony Robbins podcast or a Les Brown podcast to help me get through it.
Yeah.
There's no shame in the struggle. The shame is in quitting and not trying in the first place. Only people who never try are going to criticize you for struggling. No one actually who's been through it, there's no shame in the struggle, but it still hurts to struggle.
It hurts. Yes.
It hurts to struggle. It hurts.
You got to push yourself through it. I mean, that's the biggest lesson I learned from working out. It's like, it's never easy. It's never like a breeze. It always sucks. That 1 hour that I'm in it just sucks. The whole time I'm in pain. It's like, oh man, I'm tired, but you got to do it. And then you feel great when you're done. And it's maybe a good analogy to it is like, no matter how good of a workout or how much effort you put into it, if you were struggling and you got through it, at the end of the day, you got through that day, right? Like, every single day isn't going to be 100% A+ day, but you still have to live. I guess here's another one that I thought of, which really helped me, was no matter like how big your imagination is or how big your goals are, you still have to live every minute of every single day. And you have to find a way to manage that at the end of it, right? Like, if you could do that, if 24 hours, if 8 of those were really awesome, and that's what you got out of that day, then that's what you got out of the day. Like, enjoy that, celebrate that, and move forward with it, right? Like, the next day it's unwritten still, right? Like, I want to pivot to a little bit of your business background a little bit, because a lot of young adults that are listening to me are very interested in being either a hustler or an entrepreneur of some sort. And I think they're two separate things. And I want you to hear your take on, like, what would you say to those young hustlers or young adults who are aspiring to be?
Oh, I got one for you guys. Listen, young hustlers, the biggest mistake I did when I started my first business at 21 was starting my first business at 21. The biggest mistake I made was starting my first business. Definitely, for sure, dude. Because I was like, oh, I'm going to be CEO. I'm going to be founder. I'm going to blah, 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 blah. All titles, ego titles, right? But little did I know that took me 4 years of failure to discover. The one lesson that I learned after starting businesses and failing for 4 years was that I'm a fucking pretty shitty entrepreneur. I'm pretty retarded, and I need to find some mentors to learn from. And I need to stop focusing on being the CEO and being number one and being the guy who blah, 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 blah. And I need to find a master and become an apprentice to a goddamn fucking master, and stop with your own business stuff. Go be like, I was so wrong about internships. Such a great place, getting in for free, learning from game changers. Not getting a job. This isn't about getting a job. This is about getting on a team of gangsters, right? Same thing on the outside. way different thing on the inside. I'm not signing up for 10 fucking places to get a job. I'm looking at who is the biggest motherfuckers in my city, in my surrounding cities, in the United States, if I could. How do I get in the room, a job in for them, on the right seat on the bus, right seat on the right bus? That was so important. I had to get on the wrong seat on the right bus, which ended in failure. I got on the right bus in the wrong seat. Right. I mean, I got
all the permutations,
all the different fucking angles, bro. Because I just kept trying. It wasn't until I realized right bus, right seat, right skill set. Right seat means the right skill set, right? I wanted to be a media buyer. I got a job as a business development guy. That fucked me up.
I want to take another quick moment to thank our sponsors, Podcast Backdrops. If you do any kind of video content or pictures online, or you're doing any sort of selling over Zoom calls, you really need to check them out because it will make you look professional from the get-go. Having your brand, your logo, and what you're all about behind you, hiding all your clutter, makes you look so much more professional when you put yourself out there on the internet. So check out Podcast Backdrops if you want to level up your game. Because it was not aligned with what you were going at.
It was not aligned, but I didn't realize it because I was like, I want to work for this guy. I want to be good for him, but it just set me off down the wrong fucking road onto the hardest rock bottom I've ever, experienced in my life is where that went. And then after I smacked my head against that rock bottom, I was like, okay, I was on the right bus, but I was in the wrong seat. I need to be good at media buying, not business development, right? Very specific skill set. So let's go find another bus. I'm going to be in this fucking seat on this bus, doing this specific role. And
so the point being, don't try to go and become a CEO and just have that title. Like I've met young adults who are like 21 years old and they're like, I'm a CEO and a founder. It's like, yeah, but you have no sales. So like, what the fuck?
100%. Yeah. I would have a business card. I had out girls my business card. I was so proud.
It's like, cool. You know how to use Canva. Good for you.
No one ever called me. Not one phone.
It's like, yeah, I have no sales, I have no clients, but I have all the public perception.
And I live in my mom's basement.
Yeah. This is a very good point. I'm glad we're talking about it because look, it's possible to change that, right? If you humble yourself enough to realize that you got to learn some shit and you can't just get to the top by just magic, right? It's going to take some time. It's going to take that effort. Yeah. So
can we talk about school real quick?
Please, dude, please. Let's talk about school.
Bro. So you're just getting out of high school. Listen, guys, I didn't go to fucking college. I did for a second, actually. I showed up and they made me take some math class I took in like junior year of high school. It was so disrespectful. They made me do all these fucking credits to make me a well-rounded student that was really just wasting my time and feeling like I was just getting fucked in the face by the whole school system. So, I abandoned ship and moved back to my parents'
By the way, I want to say Peter was actually a very good student, surprisingly, when we were in school. Like you were a very good musician and you were actually very smart. So it's not like you were shitty at school. I wanted to just point that out.
I was only good at math. Everything else was terrible.
Well, you were very good at math.
I was I got B in English.
You were taking like calculus 2 or some shit in high school, I think.
No. I laid that down to make it easier on myself.
All right, sorry, go on. I just wanted to point that out, but anyhow.
Yeah. So I was in my parents' basement in the middle of nowhere, and all my friends were getting smarter at college and getting laid, and I was stranded in the middle of nowhere, getting dumber by the day and not getting laid. And after a while, I went to this conference, and everyone was talking about books, and I was like, I fucking hate books because I hated English, and English was my worst class ever. Every time my parents gave me a book, I got yelled at because I didn't read it, and I got a D in the class. So I had so much negativity linked to books. But I went to this class and I went to this conference. Everyone was fucking talking about these business books. And I'm like, God, I feel like an idiot because I haven't read any of these things. So let me just go to the library or let me go to Barnes and Noble. I haven't checked out the business section, ever in my life. So let me just go look at it. And I went and I remember looking at this section. I was like, oh my fucking God. Like there's like how to build a business, how to do marketing, how to do this, how to do this. It was literally just all of this stuff. And I was like, bro, I don't need to go to college. I can just take Adderall and get a bunch of fucking books. I'm already in my parents' basement with no distractions. I can just Adderall, basement, books, grind, and just go through all these things. And I ended up reading like 200 of the best business, sales, subconscious psychology books, mindset books on the planet. And that's what differentiated me from a lot of people. And yeah, you don't need schooling, but you need an education for sure. Hit the goddamn books. Even at my state I'm right now, I still read a shitload because I have so much further to go. There's so much I don't know. There's so much to be discovered in the wisdom of people who have gone before you, just like we're on this call right now. Like the same thing goes down, Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time, wrote down a bunch of shit If he was speaking, people will come from miles to go listen to this guy fucking talk, but they don't realize the guy wrote a fucking book called I Can't Accept like Not Trying or something like that. And it's an incredible book on mindset.
I want to make sure people don't take the wrong message out of this. And he's not telling you to take Adderall so you can study. I think that was a tactic that you used. I don't want people to go get hooked on Adderall now.
Bro, it was so effective for me. I can't deny it. So effective because I was so ADD and so out of it, and I to me, it just took it to the next level. I could slam through books, have high retention like nothing else. And it was super effective. I don't take it anymore. I'm totally out of it.
Thank you.
But it was a weird, it doesn't work for me anymore at all. But it is a tool for sure. It is a tool. And if you use it responsibly, everything's fine in moderation. And I used to own, one of my first businesses was I helped people get into rehab. It was lead generation for rehab centers. So I had a hotline where I would listen to people, they would call this hotline to get into rehab, and I would put up ads to promote my hotline and inspire people to call the number. And I got to listen to all these people on drugs and hear how drugs fucked up their life, lost their job, their parents hate them, their girlfriend left them, they're about to kill themselves, but they're going to call this, try to get the rehab before. So what I learned from that business is everything's fine in moderation. Just use it responsibly. Adderall is totally a tool that can definitely be used responsibly. The new stuff, modafinil, it can definitely be used responsibly. It can definitely be used irresponsibly. Weed is a tool that can be used responsibly to help inspire creativity, come up with new ideas. But if you smoke it every goddamn day, you're going to waste your life away. If you take Adderall every single day, you're going to waste your life away, and it's going to fuck with your brain. You know what I mean? But it's to throw it out the window is a missed opportunity because these things can be used for success. Even like sex. If you do it if you can become a sex addict, that'll be horrible for you.
Yes.
But don't throw that out the window, dude. Come on. You know what I mean? Use it. There's so many things that is such a great tool that could be abused. Adderall is definitely one of them. I don't take it anymore. It doesn't work for me, but
thank you for clarifying that. Actually, that was very, very helpful. I think that portion, I'm going to make a fucking clip out of that one for TikTok.
Cool.
Okay. Here's a good one. Since you've had, your ayahuasca trip, as of recent, I've had definitely several moments in my past that have kind of awoken me to this, this ego that I've had to build to survive the first half of my life, the first quarter of my life, right? How do you find yourself balancing this transition between, being an ego and then also in a broader sense being consciousness and sort of the dance that the two do, right? Because like once you start to get really into understanding what we are, and you start to see that all of our thoughts are just passing, clouds. They're not persistent, but there's some ideas that keep coming up, and we are like Peter is this identity, this ego, this person. Same thing with me. But then if I sit back in a meditation, like, and I see all of that shed away, like who am I really, like, and what am I trying to do? Like kind of balancing these two, the duality of our existence in a way, and that's another way to say it. And how have you navigated that? Like, because if you're just ego all the time, pushing, you will hit a wall inevitably, and you will, be upset or disappointed or whatever. But if you're purely like all like spiritual all the time, then you're not doing shit. You're just like floating around into this like philosophical pool of like, oh, everything is like, we're all a part of this universe and everything is great and blah, blah, blah. Like, I get both sides of them now, but I want to know your take on kind of maybe a transition of balance with both of those things.
Like you're saying like the materialistic world and
yeah, I suppose in a way like
and the nature world.
I would say like, I mean, okay, let me maybe rephrase it. Like what is the ego to you? Like what do you think that is?
What is the ego to me? It's kind of like an identity. Mm-hmm. I would say in the simplest form.
So would you say you live more egotistically, or do you live more consciously?
Maybe ego, I don't have a solid definition on ego. It might be something like, thinking that you're better than others in a sense. But listen, I'm all about like being who I am to a T at all costs. And who I used to be before was a guy who had like a gaping hole and was kind of like an attention whore and wanted to get attention. So who I was a guy who was trying to get attention that would, put things out there that would be super big for the ego because I would try to fill a void. Right. So it was an unhealthy kind of thing to fill this ego. Now things after taking the Hoffman process, which helped me fix a lot of that, everything.
Sorry, what process?
The Hoffman process.
Hoffman process.
Yeah. It was one of the most transformational things I've ever done.
I'm not familiar with it. I'm gonna look that up.
Bro, one of my mentors told me about it. And I was like, okay, I'll go. And then I watched the video. I was like, oh my God, it's about like childhood traumas and how you were growing up for your parents and how you were, all these patterns you picked up when you were 4 years old and how it's affecting your entire life and how you can't do anything about it if you don't go back and fix these little patterns. I was like, sign me up. Little I know it was an 8-month waiting list because everybody else already figured out to fucking sign up to this thing. So I had to wait 8 months to go to this goddamn retreat. And I went there because I'm a middle child and I had all these middle child issues from being neglected as a kid. And all this stuff, and that made me, seek the love and the attention that I didn't really get as a kid, which made me attention whore. And also, it turned me into kind of a narcissist where I couldn't really care about other people. And I was like, "What's up with that? Like, I would love to just give a shit, but I really don't. I really don't give a shit." And all this stuff was unpacked, uncovered, and discovered on this Hoffman experience. 7 days long. You can't bring a cell phone or anything. One of the most incredible things I've ever done, and totally healed a hole. I was a guy driving towards a cliff, which is what a lot of successful, high achieving people are, is they're trying to prove and validate to them that they're worthy of being loved, because they didn't get a lot of love from their parents as a thing. And they're trying to show like, hey, I'm worthy, I'm good enough to do that, this, that, and the other thing. And it never fills the hole permanently. So they keep going for more and more and more. And when they finally get the jet or the biggest mansion, and they realize there's no more, but they're still empty, that's when rich people kill themselves. You know what I mean? So I was one of those guys driving towards a cliff. And this just totally, learned to heal the inner child that was curled up in a ball and not feeling too hot. And learn to love yourself and learn to fill the whole hole inside. And then everything now comes from a place of love. Driving Lambos isn't because I need to seek validation anymore. It comes because I love it, because I love them. It comes just because I love them. I love mansions because I love them. If it comes from a place of love, it's healthy. If it comes from anything else, it's unhealthy, and it seeks validation and it seeks approval. And it's because there's something there that needs to be filled. And until you fill that, you'll be struggling.
Along the same path, what would you tell people that tell me that, hey, I'll take care of my spiritual journey when I have all the money. Right now I'm focused on just making the money. I feel like that's a recipe for disaster in my own experience, but what would you say?
Just know the ways, I always got Tony Robbins' Stay with Destiny in my back pocket. I got ayahuasca in my back pocket. I got the Hoffman process in my back pocket. I know what I need to do if I ever get caught in a loophole again, but if I'm on fucking goddamn fire, right? I'm waking up and I'm on fucking maximum burning desire. Let's make it happen. Fuck the girls, fuck the parties, fuck the bars, fuck everything else. I'm doing this 24/7. I wouldn't stop that. Sure. That's some powerful shit right there. I would be like, yo, keep ripping it, dude. You may be using dirty fuel, you know what I mean? And dirty fuel means you seek validation, but the car's still ripping at 100 miles an hour. You know what I mean? Positive fuel is fueling because you love it. I'm creating this because I love this life. I love the idea of ripping around in Lambos every day. That's a more positive fuel that you want to be, driven by. But if you're putting the other fuel in, but you're still getting crazy results, do it. I would say do it, because it's hard. It's easy to change a mindset. You just got to show up to the Tony Robbins event. You just got to show up to the Hoffman process. It's easy. You just got to show up to these things for 7 days.
Yeah.
It's hard to make a ton of money. You can't do that in 7 days. So I would keep grinding out on that and getting yourself the ability, but just be totally aware that rich people kill themselves. Yes. Being totally aware that these struggles happen, that people can be depressed when they have everything. Be totally aware, and be totally aware that there's answers to them. There's answers to them if you go out and look for them. It doesn't have to be like this forever. Same thing with the whole happiness and depression thing. There's answers to them. You know what I mean?
Go into it. If you, I always tell people, that's what I did, is when I was getting super anxious and very depressed, is I started to study what is anxiety, what is depression, what causes it, and why does it exist in me, and trying to debug my own system, right? If something is a pattern in your life, I think you owe it to yourself to go into it. It's been given to you for a reason. It's something that has been provided to you to now manage, right? Like if, for example, if you've been given like, this platform now to tell people about your journey, I think that's, you owe it to yourself, a sense of responsibility to manage that well. If you don't, then it's just like what the fuck are you doing, right?
I understand. A lot of people suck at happiness because they never studied happiness. A lot of people suck at business because they never study it, right? Lack of study is a lot of lack of reason for lack of pain. I've read many books on happiness, and totally, you gotta study that shit.
You gotta study it. Well, I want to talk out of my own curiosity a little bit more about this ayahuasca trip that you had, and now you're at a point in your time life where you've sold your business that you were working on. I think that's what you said, right? So, and you're now moving on to a different journey. I think the reason I hit you up today, I think I saw a post saying that you're now packing everything up, moving on to the next thing. I feel like every few years I look at your shit and you're just like, okay, I'm doing something different. And I'm like, okay, I got to get in touch with Peter, see what's up.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
So tell me what was revealed to you. I know, and by the way, everybody, we'll link it in the podcast description, but you have a blog now, I think, that's describing your journey from the ayahuasca trip, as well as like what you're up to next. So definitely check that out. Give it a read. Peter's a very good writer, I would say. And so like what was revealed to you and where are you headed now?
I'm definitely on a chapter where, well, first off, I'm on a YOLO investing chapter right now. So I took a lot of my money and I threw it into crypto because...
Like what? Can you tell us?
It's super deep down the rabbit hole and it's super risky. I can't talk about any of it. It's just the whole thing of just shooting for life-changing, ultra life-changing amounts of money. That kind of thing. Because I feel like I could do some incredible stuff with the world with, like $100,000, $200,000 a month of passive income that comes through having, whatever X amount of $20 million in the bank. You know what I mean? If you get to that level, you can have the ultimate passive income you could use that to build a team of 8 people who all make a good salary. And you could be rocking and rolling with 8 guys every single day who follow you to the edge of the earth. And you could do incredible life-changing, world-changing stuff with that type of stuff. So I'm really a huge believer that, I could do incredible stuff with that. So when the shots appear, I fucking take them, at all costs. So that's where I'm kind of at right now. Financially, passionately, I'm writing everything down in a book right now. So 3 or 4 months, it's going to take me to put this whole thing together, I imagine. Maybe a little bit longer. But that's what I'm doing there. And I'm just, but yeah, so I had this place in Denver. I moved here anyway, so I could focus on my business and have no distractions. I live next to a lake, so I could listen to a podcast once a day and just get smarter and really hit this business as hard as I could. We did it. We sold it, or I sold my share of it. So now I have freedom. So now I think, where's the one place I would love to be anywhere else in the world? And right now that's like Stockholm in Sweden and Costa Rica.
That's where your wife's from, right?
That's where my ex-wife is from. Yeah, we split a year ago. Yeah. So, but I do love that place a lot, and I love the people there a lot. So now I'm very much following what do I love to do? It's still the same thing. I create a life that I love. I created a life that I loved in Denver, where I had a sick house, sweet parties, Lambo, Range Rover, ripping around every day, sick business, and hitting up to the Vale with the roof rack on the Lambo, taking out the snowboards and ripping down the mountains, going off some sweet jumps with your friends. Super fun time, right? But there's other dreams I have too. The dreams are endless, you know what I mean? And I like hitting that fucking reset button, you know what I mean? So let's sell the car, let's sell the Range Rover, let's put everything into a storage
I always admired that about you, man.
And let's go create something new. Let's go to the next fucking thing. Let's keep it fresh, keep it exciting. I totally feel fulfilled with that goddamn Lambo. Totally feel like that dream was just totally crushed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's go create another one. Let's go create a new one. Bigger. There's this incredible, beautiful Lambo I can see in my mind. Waiting for the reality to catch up with it. But I love the next level, dude. The next level, create the dream, throw it all away, build another one. You know what I mean? Create the dream, live it, throw it all away, build another one. I think that's some proverb that these like monks had where they like build these fucking, I don't know what the idea is. Like you take the longest time to build the most amazing creation, like an ice sculpture, and then you tear it all down to zero.
That's like the idea is there, I think, is attachment, right? Not to be attached to it all. Because if you can give it all up, that means you're truly free and you can start all over again. Because you had all of this stuff and now you can hit the reset without any guilt for.
I'm not really giving it all up. I'm just putting everything to a storage unit, and I'm not throwing. It's not like I'm throwing away my money. You know what I mean?
That's, sure.
No.
That's
no. It's just creating. It's creating a new dream life for sure. It's creating the next dream life. You know what I mean? You got one, you create another one, and it's not from a place of feeling like I'm not living my best life. It's from a place of what I love. You know what I mean? I love this spot in Stockholm, Sweden. I love living over there. I love the Swedish babes so much. I love just this whole community over there. And, I love it more than I kind of like it right here, right now.
Yeah.
It's from a place of love. It's a place of following what you love, knowing about what you love. And that love is the healthiest fuel. They always say like, it's all about love at the end of the day, but that's always like super fucking vague to me. Like,
sure. Yeah.
Love. It's like, I love this. I love acting this way because I like it. I still swear because I still like the swear. I still like the passion and the punch of the swearness. Mm-hmm. It's from a place of love. Everything, if it comes from a place of love, it's a place for you. And yeah.
Leave me with this mindset piece a little bit, because I find myself often getting to a place where, I have everything that I've dreamed of, the lifestyle wise. I'm very close to my family. I'm happily married. I live at the beach. I work on my own time. I don't make millions of dollars a month, but that wasn't necessarily my goal to begin with when, several years ago when we started to talk. But I'm getting to a point in my life now where it's starting to become more obvious to me that if I want to continue in this direction, or at least stay even in this life that I've built, like I'm going to need to, I think I'm going to need to amount like a lot more money. But the part of my mindset that's not really cooperating with that is that I'm not willing to like do the dumb shit that sometimes people are willing to do to just kind of make it happen. I've always been like, I call it the turtle mentality, like consistency over time wins. Cause that's what I learned. And I'm wondering, like, what would you tell someone like me who is now pivoting their mindset more towards being money driven? Because I feel like I've gotten a pretty good handle on like being spiritually in a good place and being happy, but changing that towards more money driven, I find myself becoming more like comparative and more aggressive or agitated at times, because it's like there's always so much money out there and everybody's got like more than me. It feels at times. I'm curious like how you would tell me to like kind of think about my situation at this point.
I like calling it growth driven for sure. Mm-hmm. Money driven still is not really, because it's growth. I'm still creating this dream life in a sense. So listen, some dreams you don't get a second shot at. You just don't. For example, if a guy is 21 years old and he dreams about being having a supercar in his 20s, you only get one shot in your 20s.
Yeah.
You only get one shot in your 30s. If you go past the 30 mark, the idea of experiencing life as an uber successful guy in your 30s is out the window. It can never be had back. Bro, I learned that lesson from you. When I joined I worked for years. My dream was always to be drumline captain. Since I was in fucking percussion for 7 years, that was my fucking little dream. And I had lessons, and freshman year, I was the best guy on the Dana Hills drumline, but I had to start on bass drum, whatever. But, and then Tesoro, we were rocking together. But when I got closer and closer to the finish line, I realized I stopped giving a shit about the finish. I didn't care much about the goal. I thought it was just like expected or whatever. But when that like fucking thing happened where I didn't get it and you ended up being captain, I totally just absolutely destroyed me to a point, because the whole thing just came together and I just realized that was my entire dream. And I
never knew this.
Bro, it was totally fucking total panic attack, total just fucking break. Because it was totally, my nickname on Instant Messenger was Captain Drummer. It was Captain Drum, like the captain of the drum line. It was fucking, my AIM message name was Captain Drummer. Like I cared so much about this forever. But that really, served me down the line, because it showed me that I have a habit of pausing when I get close to the finish line.
That's interesting. So, I think you're right. Like getting to a point where I feel that in my life, like where I was very close to like getting somewhere, and then you almost said like check out. You're like, maybe it's not as exciting anymore or something, and you were talking about like when we were in drumline together. Dude, I never told you this probably, but like you were someone that I always I loved you and I also hated you because I was like, you were so fucking good. Why are you so good? And I always wanted to be like as good as you. And it was so weird to me how like that whole turned out. I was very, very sad when you quit because I was like, fuck, like the best guy is gone. Like I almost started to check out because I was like, I didn't have anybody else pushing me, to be better.
Yeah. No, you were you earned it, dude. You fucking earned that thing. I just realized that I would stop before the finish line.
That's crazy.
So wow. It was like, I'm not going to do drumline if I can't with this is too painful to see this fucking dream die.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So you would say for me at this point in my life, because, I admire where you've put yourself financially. I really do. And I want to get myself, to a level higher than this. Like, to be honest, like I would love to buy a bigger house in California. And you know how crazy that is these days. It's like
such a fun, fucking hard to hit goal.
Yeah. It's a hard to hit goal. I'm giving myself a decade to do it.
So much fun.
And I just, I feel like I've laid down a good foundation for myself now. And I just need to keep, like, this is how I think about it now. And you tell me if I'm missing anything here. I think of myself like if every day I can wake up and I can first off balance myself mentally, physically by like exercising, because I realized that those are some things I neglected. After becoming a bodybuilding champion, when I started working a lot, I was very stressed and I neglected my physical health, which started to then affect my mental health. And then so I was like, for the last few years, I've just been going back to baseline again, going back to a good mental state, going back to a good physical state. So that way, I'm not feeling like hormonally all jacked up. Like that's a real thing, right? And so I feel like I've been laying a foundation so that when things get more stressful, things get harder as I try to progress, I'm able to manage them. Like, is there anything that you would tell me that I should also be trying at this stage that would maybe help me in my growth? I definitely took a lot from this discussion about like, studying consistently. I think that's something that I have a hit and go or stop and go moment of like, okay, I don't have time right now to read. So I listen to stuff. I listen to a lot of stuff, but maybe I'm listening to the same things too much. I can listen to a lot of philosophy, like Alan Watts helps me a lot. I listen to some spiritual teachers that have helped me a lot, like Muji and Sadhguru, that helped me kind of shed the ego that bothers me about like my comparison to everybody else's life and stuff like that. But like, what else could I be doing? I mean, maybe I just need to learn more skills about certain things that I want to achieve is maybe the next step, is what I could think of now from this conversation.
How into vision boards are you?
Say it again.
How into vision boards are you? Yeah.
I haven't created one. I feel like I always imagine in my head, but maybe that's something I should look into, huh?
The most successful girl I ever met happens to live 2 doors down from me. And she owns a company that did $70 million in revenue last year. And she's 30 years old. Wow. She's my age. And she blows my shit out of the water. And I went over to her fucking house 2 days ago. And I look in her living room, and her fucking entire goddamn living room is a vision board. It's fucking all shit cut out and it's all pictures and words of stuff. And I'm like, of course, that's your fucking living room. Nobody gets results like this without like being so in the zone and focused on the life that they're creating, which is what a vision board is. It's so top of mind, dude. It is so top of mind. I was just with this other girl the other day and I was talking to her about like, where's your vision board? And she's like, oh, I keep it all in my head. And I'm all like that. And I'm like, okay, well, you have a regular 9-to-5 job and you're really struggling. Like, I'm like, dude, you should keep this. It's not about having this stuff in your head. Like you need to put this stuff needs to be top of mind. Yeah. My whole house is about vision boards. 10 years ago, I made my first vision board. It all came true. So I took it way serious and took it all to the next level. Vision board is keeping your eye on the prize is what it is.
My mind fights you on that thought, thinking like, so all you want is like a plane and a car and a house and shit. Like that's what's going to drive you. It almost like I look at it and it'll be like, fuck that. Why would I want that? Like that's the only thing that drives me. Like what else do you put on a vision board outside of like the material goodies?
Bro, I have all my mentors on the vision board. I have all their best quotes. I have all my role models. I have all the places. You're right. I got all my materialistic stuff, the cars, the jets, the mansions, the fucking cool stuff, the ripping through, on a coast, stuff like that. And then I have, all the places I want to go to, all the things I want to experience, all the skills I want to be good at. I got affirmations left, goddamn right. I'm a brand building genius. I'm a goal setting, champion or whatever. I'm like a goal achieving master, right? Stuff like that. I'm smart. I'm on top of my shit every day. I have all of my best affirmations. I have my magic words that bring riches. I have,
that really
all that
helps.
stuff, dude. It's so much more than just car, jet, house.
Well, thanks for explaining that to me, because I couldn't think past that. That's all I thought vision boards was all the material stuff. And I'm like, that doesn't excite me. Like, I don't want to wake up and look at a plane every day and be like, that's not going to fire me up.
But dude, you got to think about it, because you just talked about having this mansion thing.
Yeah.
Right. How much do you love the fucking mansion?
It would be awesome, because then I can have all my family in one place.
Don't neglect the loves, dude. Don't neglect your loves. Don't act like just because it's a house, you shouldn't love it.
Yeah.
Right.
Fair point.
I fucking love the goddamn sweet houses. It is so much fun to live in one of these things. I love having it. I love ripping around in a private jet. I love ripping around in Lambos. It is totally me.
Yeah.
It is not me trying to be somebody. It's me at my heart. Is this stuff is at the true, like, a deep love. I also love walking barefoot through Costa Rica, right? With just my swim trunks on. I love that stuff. I love being with regular people and going deep into their souls and learning what they're about. Right? Love them both. Love both sides of it. Don't throw the other side out of the window. It is such a, people just act like materialism is bad. It's just, it's a fun tool. If you're all about it, it's going to be bad, but don't throw it out the window again, just because you don't want to be all about it. Let's be about both of them.
I love that, man.
Love the material stuff. It is such a fun. And listen, God doesn't give you dreams that aren't supposed to come true. You know what I mean? He's not just a guy who's dangling fucking mansions in front of your face. Look at this. You're never going to get this your whole life. It's like, it's a vision that's been given to you by a higher power of things, that a vision of like a reality you can create, of your potential. Right. And it's not about the goddamn mansion. It's who you have to become to get the goddamn mansion. Right. The skill sets you got to learn, the books you got to read, the path you got to go down, because those types of goals, the big mansion jet goals, make you grow like no other goals on the planet. That's what they're really for, right? Because to get to the point where you've got $20 million to drop on the sickest fucking house you could ever imagine, to create the sickest fucking life you could ever imagine, right? It takes a lot of growth, bro. That is one fucking sick Mount Everest you could climb. That is one sick Mount Everest. It is the sickest Mount Everest ever to me. And it's just the funnest thing I could be working on every day. It's the funnest thing. What is the most exciting thing I could be working on every day? Is one little step closer towards this sick ass fucking goal, right? Men who move mountains begin by moving small stones. And if you want to do something great, you just start by fucking one little baby stone at a time. Just pick it up, start going.
Man, that really hits for me. Pete, I love you, man. Thank you.
Oh yeah, enough.
That really hits for me. I hope you guys really love this conversation. And Peter, I would love to have you come chime in a couple months when you're on to your next place, and just give us a glimpse of what you're up to, and as you have more breakthroughs. Now that I have an established podcast, you should come back more often and just share your...
Oh, hit me up. I love fucking these talks. I really appreciate you hitting me up at this time too. Absolutely.
I literally, can I tell you the truth? I was literally taking a shit before going to the gym. I had taken some caffeine, and I was like, I'm going to text Peter, because if he's available later today, I want to do a podcast. And Peter goes, I'm available right now for the next 90 minutes. I'm like, I told my wife, I'm like, we're not going to the gym right now. I'm going to talk to Peter. That's exactly what happened. I was like, I'm not going to get this chance again. I got to go do this now. So
yeah, no, I'm flying to Ibiza in literally an hour. Yeah, heading to the airport.
Peter, I wish you all the best, brother. Keep inspiring me and everybody else. Like, it's awesome just to know that I got to be, I grew up with someone who really took it to fucking level 20, and it just makes it feel that much more possible and not so hypothetical. And I know we have our different timelines, so I mean, I believe in myself. I know I work hard, and I'll get there.
Started, bro.
Yeah,
I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
The whole thing is just getting started, bro. When you get that money in the bank, then you're really just getting fucking started.
Yeah.
Then that's when you're at the start of the fucking game. You know what I mean? We're just getting to the start. And that's when you can do some incredible shit. You know what I mean? That goes so much further than the jets and the mansions and the impact. Here's the thing. You go from making as much money as you can to making the biggest impact as you can. That's the path for sure.
Yeah. I'm going to make a vision board. I'm going to send you pictures of it.
Send me the fucking vision boards, bro. They work like everything on the vision board comes true.
Fuck. Okay, today I'm going to the fucking store.
That's how they work. Everything on the vision board comes true. You laminate it, hang it in the shower, hang it downstairs in the living room.
Yeah.
There's no question about these fucking goddamn vision boards.
Oh, you really broke that for me, man. Because Mimi,
Cool.
she told me about vision boards like years ago, and I'm like, I don't want to look at fucking cars and shit. Like that doesn't inspire me. But then you just told me like about the whole, you got to love that. If that's what you love, then this is what's going to come true. And it's not just the material stuff. Put the people that inspire you. Then there are those who I look up and I want to be like, you know, the teachers that I look up to who have broken it down for me. I want to break it down for the people that are behind us, you know, and
put their best quotes on it too.
Yeah. Fuck. Dude, that really got me amped. Oh, I'm excited. All right, guys. Thank you so much for checking out this podcast. We're going to link all of Peter's good stuff, his blog, his Instagram and social. Anything else you want us to throw on there, Peter, you just let me know. This guy's the man. I fucking love you, dude. And you've always inspired me. And you've been an inspiration and a challenge and someone that I was like, fuck, I'm like, I want to chase what he's doing, but obviously in my own way. And so it's just good to just, you know, check in with you and let's just do it more often.
I'm totally 100,000% down. Love these things, dude. Love these.
Sweet.
I'll make sure to keep it exciting. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy. I'll catch you next time. Bye, everybody. See you soon. Thank you for checking out this show. I really appreciate your time and I can't wait to hear from you. If you want to give me any feedback or want to get in touch, know someone that I should put on the show, reach out to me on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, wherever you are online. You bet you can find me there. Just search for The Real Abhinav. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.